Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to show you how to assemble my square clamshell gift box. This one has my leaf pattern. I'm planning on creating more patterns, so you may be working with another pattern, but the box structure will be the same. The final box measures 3 inches by 3 inches by 1 3/4 of an inch, and as you see here you can fit 4 Ferrero Rocher chocolates in one box. So let me first take you through what you'll see in your downloaded folder. In your folder you'll see 2 more folders, one labeled No Scoring Tool and the other labeled Yes Scoring Tool. And this is mainly for Cricut users. If you have a scoring tool for your machine, you will use the SVG file in this folder labeled Yes Scoring Tool. And if you open the SVG file in that folder, you'll see this. These are all the parts for your box, and the dashed lines you see here are the fold lines. And if you have a scoring tool, you'll need to change them to score lines under the operation menu. And this will tell your machine to use your scoring tool to create fold lines like this. I do have a full video that goes into more detail about fold lines that I'll link below, and if you're new to the Cricut machine, I encourage you to watch it because it'll walk you through how to prepare your file if you're using a scoring tool. And if you do not have a scoring tool, you will use the SVG file in this folder labeled No Scoring Tool. These are the same parts as in the Yes Scoring Tool file. I've just changed the colors, and the key difference here is the dash fold lines will be cut as dash lines like this. And unlike for a scoring tool, you do not have to do anything to the fold lines when you import this into Design Space. Your blade will just cut these as dash lines. And if you're not using a Cricut machine and you have a scoring tool for your machine, I would recommend using the Yes Scoring Tool file. I'm not familiar with other machines, so I can't give you any direction for it, but just be aware that the dashes in this No Scoring Tool file are individually drawn lines. So a scoring tool would treat each dash as a line, which wouldn't be very efficient. So now let's move on to assembling our box. And just a note here with cutting, when you go to remove the pieces from your mat, be wary of the intricate cuts and use a blade or your spatula to help you lift the pieces off the mat just so you don't get any tearing. For example, see this leaf here, it kind of is not attached to anything on its end, so it will tend to want to stay on the mat, so you'll have to use a tool to carefully lift it up with the rest of the piece. Also, just make sure that you do a double check that all these tiny little pieces are popped out. Some of the corner pieces are really tiny. Here is what our parts will look like once you have them all cut out. I do want to mention that these 2 tabs here will look different in your cutout. I've recently updated them so that they don't have those top ridges on them, and I'll talk about those later. And here is a quick look at the box that we're going to be making. So starting with these 2 pieces, this tab is going to attach to this piece here like this. And that part will become the bottom of your box here. And it doesn't matter which side you work with, unless of course you're working with single-sided paper like glitter paper, in which case you'll want the glitter side to face downward. And starting with this piece here, we are just going to fold all our folds upwards, also known as valley fold, because you're creating a valley. So I'm just going to go through both pieces and make all my valley folds. And again, you're doing this to every fold line you see on both parts. Next, you're going to attach these 2 pieces together. I'm going to use double-sided tape for this part. You are welcome to use glue. This is the glue I'll be using for other parts, along with a small bowl and paintbrush. But for this tab, I'm using double-sided tape. So just cut a couple pieces of tape and place them along this tab. Then remove the lining on both pieces. And when you attach the second piece, you want to make sure that the edge of this piece sits along the fold line of the bottom piece, and also match up these fold lines along both sides. So carefully place it down, and the one thing you want to avoid is overlapping the top piece to the fold line on the bottom piece, because that will interfere with the fold. So I'm checking to make sure I haven't done that, and here I still have a nice easy fold. And next we're going to attach all our inner lining pieces. I'm going to use a small paintbrush to spread my glue, so here I'm just dispensing my glue into a small bowl. Now I'm going to start up here. You'll notice this small divot here, and this will be the lid of the box right here. And the lining for this panel will also have that divot, so just look for that among your cutouts. It's the only piece with this little semicircle cutout. Before you glue this down, you can do a dry run to get a sense of how it'll fit into the space. I've created all the lining pieces to be slightly smaller than the box panels, so you should have a little border on each side. And now I'm just going to spread my glue around the edges. And for the leaves, I just place a small dab of glue on each leaf. You don't want your glue to seep out here because it will be visible on your box, so just tiny little dabs. And then even smaller dabs of glue along the branches. Now place your liner piece down and press along the whole surface to get good contact with the glue. And now just repeat this with the rest of your panels. And here is my last panel. You can set this aside to dry for a couple minutes, and then we're going to turn this into a box. Here is my finished box template. I mentioned earlier about these tabs. You'll notice these 4 tabs here have these bumps, while these 2 tabs have no bumps. And I did this to help you keep track of which tabs go where. So these tabs with the bumps are going to come in like this and create the bottom of your box. And these 2 tabs will come in like this to create the lid. When I was making my other boxes, a couple times I attached these tabs to this part here, and the results will be an upside down box, so we don't want to make this mistake. Now to attach these tabs, you can either use glue or double-sided tape. And I'm going to start with this center tab here. I'm going to use tape for mine, but I'll show you how to attach with glue for this one tab. But let me just quickly show you the pros and cons of using tape versus glue. So here's a box I did with glue, and as you can see, you have really nice contact. It's completely sealed, whereas this piece here was taped, and you can see that the corner here is opening up a little bit. Now with glue, you can see here these panels are curving in a little bit, and that's the result of the glue and what it does as it dries. So those are just some of the pros and cons of glue versus tape. And now back to the gluing. We're just going to cover this whole tab with our glue. And once that you have it covered in glue, you just bring up this panel here and line up the edge of that top panel to the fold line below and press down. And just a reminder, this is the bottom of the box, so just make sure that you're working with the panels on the bottom of your box here. And that's how you attach these with glue. Now we're going to use double-sided tape for the rest of our box. And to do that, we're going to cover all the tabs with 2 pieces of double-sided tape. And here I've cut out my 2 pieces, and I'm just going to put one along the edge here and another one along this bottom edge. And remember, I just showed you how the edges may lift with the tape, so if you want to be really particular, you can place tape right up to the edges and right up to the corners to make sure you get that nice seal. And here I have all my tabs covered with tape. And now we're just going to go through each tab and remove our lining on our tape and then attach them to their respective panels. I find the easiest way to do this is to pull back the tab and then line up your corners like this and then press down the tab. Now repeat with the rest of the tabs to complete your box. And that's it, your box is complete. I hope you guys enjoy this one. Thanks for all your support.